One of the strangest things in Rise of Kingdom is how quickly players emotionally trust fast cavalry commanders. Cao Cao creates this weird illusion where your account feels powerful long before the progression actually becomes efficient. And I think this is one of the reasons why this hero fools so many players. The reports look better than actual account health. And I don't know if you guys have this feeling or happen to you when, for example, you start playing one game and then one of the heroes in this game is just doing crazy good at the beginning, but later you just cannot find a place for this hero. And from my small experience with Cao Cao, basically I'm just starting playing a Rise of Kingdom. I think it's like my day 4, day 5. I just sit to create a couple of videos. This is my impressions from the Cao Cao. Now I have played years and years this type of games, kingdom building games, and to be fair, this is just the feeling I have about the Cao Cao, that the report so far is looking good from actual account health. Now what is fascinating me was how many players judge Cao Cao from movement speed instead of long-term value. And by movement speed, we have to mention that this Cao Cao, he's having mobility down 3. Maybe because I check it out also the community, I spoke with other players, I check it out the Discord, many places and resources I built my impression over the Cao Cao, and I see this thing over and over that the people fail over the mobility. Now, why is that important and why people actually check it out the mobilities? When you check it out one troop, let's say the final one, the final boss, tier 5. Tier 5 Royal Guard is having March Speed 65. Stables, this is the horses or the cavalry. Let me go over the cavalry. Now tier 6 is having 80. This is 15 March Speed more. Why is important? Because this is a base stats. Every percentage increase is based on the base stats. So if you have like 100, let's say March Speed, and you have 50 March Speed, 10% from 100 is going to be 10. 10% from 50 is going to be 5. This is like 2 times more stats in form of a boost. And this is the cavalry, this is the marksman. We can go and check it out. Tier 5 marksman is even 70. It's not even close. And this one should be very small. This is like 20. So you see the cavalry are very fast troop, and I think this is one of the places where the people fall a little. Is they think just because this troop is having that much march speed, that means this troop should be built around the march speed. Now it's very nice, your troop to have more march speed. But it just surprised me how many players judge this Cao Cao based of the movement speed that he's having. Fast marches psychologically feels productive because players are constantly moving, chasing, farming, and participating. And the other thing is, with the fast march, you can actually get away. What I mean by get away is, for example, you strike somebody. I don't know if I can find somebody here. You strike this bad boy till he come to somehow save his gathering heroes. Most likely you're already here. And from there, you most likely, this is goat one, you're already here. So you start killing enemy legions, and there is not big chance somebody to catch you, okay? Even if they send something to chase you, it's going to be that slow that you can easily just escape and strike some other, gathering hero. It's also the same for AFK heroes. Somebody, for example, this legion here is AFK legion. Somebody can basically strike this legion, kill this legion, and still the person, you know, have some reaction to send something to support his legion. You're just going to strike that fast and they can never catch you. That's why I think maybe it's one of the main reasons why the people, you know, check it out, the mobility over the cavalry, just because they have that much march speed. And from there is coming the judgment over Cao Cao for movement speed instead of long-term value. Now fast, yeah, but visible activity and a strategic efficiency are not always the same thing. The strange part is some accounts quietly become dependent on speed where their real progression is actually slowing down. Now, why Dragon Rider feels stronger than it looks? Players notice damage but miss the tempo control. And this is, right now we're going to go more in deep over the Cao Cao. This is the Dragon Rider. There is a reason I make this spell level 5. It's absolutely very nice spell. Now players focus immediately on the 1.4k damage factor, which is normal. You know, we're all gamers, we all like to see big numbers. We don't care that much over the rest of the things, but hear me out. Here there is a hidden gem right here. What players don't realize is how oppressive attack reduction and movement control become during the extended fights. And even though that is like for 3 seconds, is if every 10 seconds the Dragon Rider is going to get triggered, 3 seconds is 30% from the time. With the time, especially if you use Minamoto as a commander, this is what I use for PvP. He's having this talent where he's having some nice rage regeneration. Whether the commander's troops launches any type of basic attack, it gets 9 rage. This is close to 1% in extra with each attack. My point is, the cycle can get increased, and from 10 seconds it can get reduced to lower. For example, like every 9 seconds. Every 9 seconds, this 3 seconds is 33% from the time. The enemy is going to have this attack reduction, which is 40%. This is crazy number. I don't know if people can actually understand it, how crazy is this number, but it's crazy. Now, the march speed is not something crazy, okay? If you stack Cao Cao on mobility, most likely you're going to catch a lot of troops, but still, the attack reduction is crazy. Now, here we get extra, just not only that Cao Cao is having mobility downtree, this commander troop has the march speed and great flexibility on the battlefield, but he's also giving extra 10% march speed bonus. So he's having this downtree that is boosting the march speed. On top of that is giving extra march speed bonus, which is absolutely crazy. But let's get back over the Dragon Rider. Slowing targets sounds small until you start controlling disengages, reinforcements, timing, and uptime. It's small, it's looking small, but definitely is having effect over the battlefield, especially if you want to get couple extra hits. This march speed can allow you to get couple extra hits at the end of the day. If your legion and the enemy legion in form of march speed, you're going to just get couple extra hits. But if you stick to march speed, Cao Cao, you're going to even get more damage at the end of the day. Now, the dangerous thing about Cao Cao is that he quietly controls the rhythm of bad decisions. The false signal of cavalry speed. This is the other thing I want to talk about. Speed creates emotional gameplay. And it's true. I mean, I have played other games where there is also cavalries and etc. And one of the things that was that was something that I really like playing with cavalry was how fast they can strike. I mean, you see this AFK Legion, you can strike it. You see this this gathering heroes here, you can strike it. And the thing is, they cannot actually catch you. Okay, if you go with infantry or infantry, they can catch you with the cavalry. But if you have built a fast march, you can strike, especially the gathering heroes, because to be fair, majority of the players are going to put gathering heroes with the gathering talents. Even now, for example, Constance, this is going to be my main hero for the gathering. I'm going to try to boost these spells just to gather more faster. And from the talents is going to be gathering boosters. So the enemy troops that are with gathering heroes are so easy to be killed, because they have no extra boost for the other troops. That's why I believe they're so easy to be killed. And from there, the speed is actually really creating a gameplay that is more emotional gameplay. The cavalry players often confuse feeling active with creating efficient value. Now, fast marches psychologically encourage risk because retreat always feels possible. This is what I'm also trying to say, is it just make you to make more risks. Okay, it just, if you have fast march, is giving you this impression that you can strike anywhere and you can escape with no issues. Just the retreat is always possible. What's changed my opinion was watching how often fast cavalry players slowly drained healing resources for unnecessary aggression. And yeah, the more risk you take, sometimes you're going to get punished for this risk. And back in the days, by the way, in one other game, but I think it can be also achieved here, I was having one player who was just farming. He sent his troops in this crop wand, and from there that was the bite, by the way. And with my cavalry, and my cavalry was very fast, I go and I try to jump over this gathering hero. Here is the thing: I didn't scout, so there is no some kind of announcement, so the player can know that somebody scout him and to log in the game if he's AFK. And I didn't know is this guy AFK or not. So I go with my cavalry, slowly coming to the crop wand, and let's say he was this castle here. And I start jumping with my cavalry, and inside it was infantry. In the other game, infantry was a tank unit. I think here, by the way, the troops are having close to the same stats. If you go and check it out, for example, infantry here, you're going to see same attack, like defense, and like health. There is just very small difference. So I go and try to strike the resource point, and he swarm my legions, and I take heavy casualties, because if you want to go on mobility or march speed, you're basically sacrificing defense and other things, sustain and other things that other way is going to support your legion to survive longer. You're expecting this speed to serve you that well, so you can always escape from a situations, but sometimes just this is actually a false signals of cavalry speeds, that you can always escape whatever is coming in your direction. Okay, and some strategies feels efficient only because the punishments arrive later. So if they don't catch you, you get this confidence in you that you can strike with the speed, but sometimes they're going to catch you. Now, why whales create bad Cao Cao advice? Because I also talk with other players. I mean, I'm at the beginning of my journey in the Rise of Kingdoms, and I spoke, I asked questions, and especially the whales. Now, one of the things the whales are doing very well is creating this credibility. If you see somebody with some crazy numbers as a power, you immediately in your head is like, oh my god, because this guy is having that much power, most likely he know everything. And this is a big trap, by the way. This is a big trap. One of the things is the whales can actually work with the perfect setups. So that means perfect everything, not only the commanders. So they can see the hero build, at the best way he can be. Max level, awakened. I think I don't have gear at the moment, but they can have everything set it up. And this is the upper hand of the whales, but the majority of the cases, just because they have this thing, they just throw their heroes, and most of the times they're making some bad trades. And here's the thing, smaller accounts copy survivable mistakes. This is the bad advice that you can actually receive. One of the dangerous things about whales gameplay is that whales survive inefficiently, smaller account cannot. So for whales, don't matter, are they going to lose troops, are they going to lose resources, are they going to lose whatever. Till for free-to-play players or small accounts, this actually matter a lot, and it can actually stop your progression. Cao Cao looks incredible when massive healing budget era arise bad trade. So if you can non-stop healing this bad boy, yeah, definitely. I mean, this bad boy here, if you non-stop healing the troops and etc, and you can use him non-stop, that's crazy, that's great. But not all the players can actually do that. Smaller accounts eventually feels the damage through speed ups, healing pressures, and stalled progression. Most players copy the visible aggression without understanding the invisible economic support behind it. You see somebody is like crazy fighting, you see his achievements or whatever, you see his performance, but nobody, you see this visible aggression, what I'm saying, but nobody's actually thinking over the invisible economy behind that. This whales or krakens or whatever is having very solid resources behind. When I start playing this game, the first couple days, I make couple streams because, I like to stream the game. By the way, if you enjoy streams and this type of things, you can subscribe to his channel. And a lot of people told me that make a farm. I understand that is a valuable advice. Okay, I totally understand that. But from what I make a deep research after this, I read somewhere that you're going to need like 10 farms. Brother, 10 farms is crazy amount of work. It's like a second job if I have like 10 farms. So I just decided to actually skip doing that and maybe start making some videos where I share my experience. Obviously, I'm expecting also players to write under my comments what they agree, what they don't agree, their personal experience. And I'm trying to build this small community here that we help each other to become better and better in this game. And yeah. Now, what is the hidden value of barbarian hunting? This is where Cao Cao starts getting strange. At first glance, the barbarian skill feel disconnected from the rest of the kit. Barbarian skill, I mean, this is this spell here. I mean, look at this thing. Is this commander troops deal some percentage to barbarians, earn free action points. I want to point out that this action points is not forever. You're having 50, I have like 54 days left till my Cao Cao is going to give me free daily action points. So it's not actually exactly a point, something that you're going to receive forever, because if you receive this thing forever, it's very nice. I mean, in the long run, something that you receive for free. But yeah, the first disconnect for the rest of the kit. But the weirdest part is this skill quietly accelerates account growth more than many players realize. Free action points every day look harmless until you calculate the value over entire season. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, maybe this is going to cover the whole season, but 50 per day for 10 days is 500, for 50 days is 2.5k free daily action point at level 50, at the first level. If it's like 100, it's going to be 5,000 action point, which is very nice for your progression, for everything. So I just wanted to point out, this is at the beginning when you start playing the game. At least right now I have it. I don't know if this thing continue in the next seasons. The strongest progression system in the Rise of Kingdom usually feel boring initially. Now why lofty ambition change everything? This skill creates momentum chaos. Most players notice the healing first, and that's correct. I mean, not actually the healing, lofty ambition, sorry. I mean, this is target night, sorry about that. This lofty ambitions. Yeah, the first thing that actually catch my eyes is this 1000 healing factor. It's looking absolutely crazy. The real danger starts when rage regeneration and movement speed begin chaining together repeatedly, because we also have rage regeneration. Whether the commander troop launches a basic attack, it has a 10% chance to recover 1000 and get 50 rage or 100 rage. Get 20 march speed for 3 seconds, cooldown 5 seconds. So you cannot non-stop getting those healings because it's having a cooldown, but at the end of the day, this is very solid, crazy skill. Cao Cao doesn't only create pressure, he creates momentum swings. What fascinates me was how differently fights started feeling once his rage cycle accelerates unexpectedly. And this is not with my Cao Cao. We have some players in my alliance that are very far with the development, and I saw their progression, how they Cao Cao is on the battlefield. Some other players, I asked them for some reports to check out how the things are. I don't know if we can actually open one of the things, but yeah, I just you can see from the battle log what exactly is happening. But I will not go that much in detail, but believe it or not, this is extremely solid skill, and it's not only about the healing, it's also rage regeneration. 100 rage giant is like 10% for your next spell. This is absolutely brutal, and this is the warfare ambition. This is just a single skill. So I'm not going to maybe go that much in detail over the skills any longer. I can say that I use Cao Cao for my peacekeeping. The talents that I'm using on him is over peacekeeping. Commander gets some march speed. Commander team more normal attack to barbarians. This is the other thing. This commander does more skill damage to barbarians. Is also very nice to have. The thing is, I'm going to use him and make him on peacekeeping, and from there I'm going to use as a commander Minamoto when we're talking about doing some PvP. at the end of the day. Still Minamoto with Cao Cao. So far, this is the two cavalry heroes, legendary heroes also, that you start playing Rise of Kingdom. So this will be for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit my like or subscribe. Leave your comments under this video. I wish you a great day. You can become a member if you want to support my channel also. I wish you a great day and see you in the next video.